Hello, fellow rollers, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 of Holy Rollerz, the D&D show about the Hallowed Council, leaders of an interfaith alliance dedicated to protecting the world of Ienia and its churches from extraplanar threats. So just a wee little announcement that we have coming up here soon. We are actually beginning a second stream this coming 18th of September at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time or Central Time. It will be our guest stars, and I will be joining them. And it will be called Holy Rollerz Special Ops. It is the other half of the Hallowed Council that will be sent out by Ryan's character Lachlan on various and sundry missions. We are very excited. I will be stepping into the role of a player, and Ryan will be taking the reins of the DM. And I'm sure that there will not be any revenge whatsoever that will be enacted, because there will be payback. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not.
May the gods have mercy on their souls.
Yeah, no, I'm completely kidding. And now, why don't we do a little brief introductions in case anybody is joining us or watching for the first time, starting with JT.
Hey everybody, I'm JT. I play Anduriel, the vampire cleric of Naylock, god of night and vengeance.
I'm Ryan. I play the dashing Lachlan Dulay, bard paladin of Sindel, the goddess of love and truth.
I'm Jeff. I play the half-ogre Gizik, a hag witch that follows Sigrun, the goddess of witchcraft and wizardry.
She ain't got no wizardry under there.
Nope, it's all witchcraft. It's witchcraft.
Hags and ruins, dude.
Sigrun, McGonagall.
Like McGonagall, Dumbledore. Not. Move on.
I like it.
Wow.
All right, we're moving on.
Hey guys, I'm Ben. I play Morokon. He's the cleric monk of the goddess of the sun, Hamina.
Very good. Okay, and now for a little bit of a recap. So last time on Holy Rollerz, the clerics found themselves caught up in their own nightmares, each of which was slowly killing them through psychic trauma. Anduriel was being forced to feed on a phantasmal, helpless Sabella Gable. Gizik was being tortured by his phantasmal hag mother, and Lachlan was tormented by delusions of powerlessness and maiming. By virtue of his gift of foresight, only Morokon seemed to avoid being caught up in the nightmare enchantment. The Dragonborn used his channel divinity power to save Gizik's life by piercing the nightmare vision with Hamina's light, and she slowly worked to help all of the others awaken from their nightmare. The clerics then followed the sound of haunting violin music to a satyr in the assembly hall, using magical music to deepen everyone's sleep. All of the clerics having awakened, the nightmare creature also fled through the wall to the assembly hall, which having awakened, the nightmare creature also fled through the wall to the assembly hall. Gizik then smashed through the wall to get there a little bit faster after he cast Stone of Fist.
Oh yeah.
Shortly, he did the Kool-Aid right through the wall. Shortly thereafter, the party members viciously beat the satyr into a full retreat before turning on the nightmare. And now we will be moving on to the nightmare itself. We are back into initiative. And a few of you have made some nasty attacks. It was knocked prone. And somebody made the joke, I think it was Jeffrey, it was Ben, made the joke that was it you, Benjamin, who made the joke that when you knock over a creature made of smoke and fog, and then it becomes fog on the ground, like it's ground fog. So
yeah, that was me, yeah.
Yeah, that was you. That was very nice. That was good humor. Well, the fog does not so much get up as coalesce back up into kind of a humanoid shape. And it looks around and... Oh, who's looking bloodied at this point? Is anyone bloodied?
I am.
I'm not.
I'm definitely bloodied.
Gizik is definitely bloodied. All right, well, it is going to go for you, Gizik, and it is going to attack with its psychic siphon again. What is your reflex, Gizik?
13.
So this fog of gray cloud that's taking a vaguely humanoid shape kind of lurches at you as two arms shape out of its amorphous kind of form into kind of grasping hands. And that is a 13 exactly versus your reflex, and that hits. Anybody do anything about that to help him out?
I can't grant him immunity to humidity.
Unfortunately. All right, Gizik. Oh, lucky. You only take 9 points of damage, which is not too bad. So it barely manages to grasp onto you. However, when it does that, it uses its minor action to take its nightmare form, and it turns into a physical version of your mother, Elspeth.
Yeah, I'd like to use the immediate reaction on getting attacked there.
Oh, really?
I have the robe of contingency, so
All right.
I'm going to teleport 6 squares and spend a healing surge.
I think that's an excellent. So what do you picture that
Nice.
looking like when you use that? Do you disappear in a puff of smoke like Lachlan? Do you fade out of existence? What does it look like?
Well, it's Gizik, so
It's a magic cloak, so I'm imagining just kind of like a, bright flash of light, puff of smoke, and then I'm gone.
Okay, so it turns into Gizik's mother, and it leans over, and it's like, "Oh, look at my boy! I've got you again!" And Gizik's like, "Ah!" like takes the cloak, vanishes.
And I'm in D16 now, and spending a healing surge.
That is a wise maneuver. All right, Gizik moves into D16. Mark it, y'all. Alrighty. That is really annoying to this little critter. Let's see if it recharges its maddening gaze. And unfortunately for it, it does not. And it had to spend its move action to get up. So unfortunately, that's it for it. All right, and the Piper has left the building for the moment. Morocon, it is your turn, my friend.
That was the Piper?
It was a Piper.
Okay, but not the Piper.
Well, I don't know. Do you think you could take out an Archfey that easily?
Well,
Peter Piper?
we did considerable amount of damage to him.
Maybe he's been faking it all along, and he is Peter Piper only with
Has he
dominion over
picked a peck of pickled peppers? That's the thing we need to know.
I don't know. Maybe that's all he really had dominion over. He's been faking it the whole time. So,
That's why it was so easy. All you can do is peppers and pickled peppers.
yeah. Alrighty, Morocon, what's your turn, my friend?
Okay, so Elspeth I see sitting in front of me right now, correct?
Yes, and in all her disgustingly haggish glory.
Okay, cool. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to look at that and just be like, ugh, that's understandable that would be your nightmare. Ugh.
That's very validating of you. Would you like to validate with your minor action?
Oh, man.
Well,
Oprah would be so proud.
I think what I'll do is it'll be something a little more along the lines of have at you.
Okay.
as I take a mighty swing with sacred shielding, which is a dirty 20 versus AC.
That's a hit.
Oh, yay. Okay. Which is that's so 16.
All right, it's going to use its immediate reaction to take smoky form, and it's going to take half of that damage only.
Okay, well, it takes 8 damage, and Duriel gets +2 to all resistance, +2 to all defenses.
That's
Very
okay.
nice.
That's okay.
All right, so Morocon, you come in. Are you striking with your fist or your claw? What does it look like?
Okay, so yeah.
All right, there's this hag in front of you, and she's like, ah! At Gizik, who is just on teleporting away.
Right. So it's something more along the lines of, ah, ah. Well, I guess a claw, but
It's a reactionary pimp slap.
right.
Okay. All right. So you slam into her with your claw, like you swipe at her, and you make solid contact, and there's a thud, and then Anduriel, a bright flash of energy comes off Morocon's fists, and it kind of envelops you, and it covers you in a golden sheen of light. Just brief, but enough to know that it's protecting you. And then Morocon, your fist strikes, but then it goes through into the mist as this thing chooses to take that smoky form again. And that is Morocon's turn. All right, Mr. Lachlan, it is your turn, my friend. Unless Morocon has anything else you would like to do. Do you want to move?
I would like to. Yeah, I'd like to shift over one so that I'm flanking the Cloud Beast.
With whom?
With Lachlan,
Okay.
since he's going next. So
All right.
H13.
All right. Morocon does a little rocky shift over, like move in position.
Actually, I think Anduriel's next because he has a higher dexterity than I do.
Yes, Anduriel would be next. You are correct.
Oh, okay. If that's the case, then I'd like to shift to H14.
Okay.
So now I'm flanking with Anduriel.
All right. Good plan. Anduriel, what would you like to do? Now it is a smoky cloud again.
It's smoky.
And we're flanking.
Well, what do you do to a smoky cloud other than try to stab it with a knife?
Well, you could go retrieve the Leviathan's tooth if you wanted for that extra +1 to attack and damage.
I've already used it this round.
That's
Can I
true.
only use it once an encounter, right?
It's a daily magic item. So,
Well, poop. Sorry for the language. This is a family show.
Whoa.
language.
Well,
Language.
well, feces.
I don't-
Is that better? That's probably not better. Well, I'm going to go Weapon of Divine Protection.
Okay.
And this is versus AC.
Okay.
So that is a 12 plus 9.
That's a hit. All of its defenses.
Cool. And then my die 6. Oh. Okay. 9. 15 points of damage. Enemies adjacent to me get +2 defenses till end.
Did you use Weapon of Divine Protection?
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, so 15. So unfortunately, only 7.
7.
But because it's insubstantial. However, everybody adjacent to you gets what?
+2 to their defenses.
All
Till
right.
end.
So Lachlan, you have a +2, and Enduriel, you have a +2 for completely different powers. Isn't it wonderful
Welcome.
in a clerical party where everyone's buffing everyone with all
Maybe
kinds
like, hey, Lachlan, I guess I suppose I'm the golden boy now.
of... Okay.
And then he sends some shadow over to him, and now you're surrounded in shadow.
Okay.
So the spotlight, haven't they?
Very nicely. Lachlan, the shadow is covering you and it's protecting you, but it's really washing you out. I mean, you're just like, it's not... Okay, that would be Enduriel's turn. Enduriel, do you want to move or stay right where you are?
I'm still in my nightmare. I would like to shift. Well, I want to move 1, 2, 3. I want to go get the tooth.
Okay, if you move away, you'll provoke an attack of opportunity. You can shift one or move and provoke.
I'll shift to 15E.
All right, so you scramble back up right behind Lachlan.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's a move action, right?
Yep, that's your move action.
That's
So
my
all you have
minor action, but I don't really have anything I want to do with the minor action, so I'm just going to chill.
Okay, and I believe you've already used Healing Word today, yes or no?
That is correct.
Okay. Alrighty. That would be the Enduriel's turn. Lachlan, it's your turn, my friend.
All right, he's gonna sidestep into that flank position that Anduriel just left. With so he's flanking with Morocon,
Okay.
and then I want to use Virtuous Strike. So his sword gets surrounded with some rosy light,
Okay.
and 12 plus 12, 24.
That hits all defenses.
Okay, so it is 11 points of radiant damage.
And I believe we've established this thing is vulnerable to radiant damage.
We like it.
So, yeah. So
And I'm going to. So he swings it, and then he kind of steps back and twists the sword as he's pulling it out. I mean, it's weird because it's just pulling out of mist. So he's kind of like flourishing it back and forth, and he says, "Take shape, you coward!" And is gonna use Mocking Smite to add an extra 7 points of psychic and radiant damage,
Nice.
alrighty.
and turn invisible.
Take shape, you coward. Invisible.
I would like to cast hypocrisy. It's fine.
I mean, I get it, and I love it. I love the hustle.
It's beautiful. All right, so you guys are shuffling all over the place. This is probably a really great light show if everybody else wasn't asleep right now, because there's light and shadow and rose. It's wing, wing, wing. All this different auras flying around. You swing your sword as it starts glowing with radiant, rosy light. You swing and cut through it, and a big gout of mist just pours off of it, like you were tearing away a cloud off of it. And there's kind of a mouthless screech, just really, really weird, a combination of I don't know, a ferret and my mother-in-law, kind of something like that. It's just generally awful. And moving on. Okay.
With a minor action, Lachlan invisibly turns to Gizik and starts to sing a little ditty about an old battle axe mother and how she died and everybody was happy, and because I'm trying to inspire him to think of watching his mother die. So
and I'm sure that hundreds of songs about vengeance against old battle axe mothers or mother-in-laws have been.
This is a fantasy world.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I thought that was more realistic. Okay, we're gonna move on. All right, very nice. So Gizik, you are filled with inspiration because of this. That gives him a 1 die what?
1d6.
1 die 6 to whatever roll. All right, Gizik, it's your turn, my friend.
All right. I don't believe I have this thing bewitched, do I?
No, I don't think you do.
I would like to roll to try to bewitch this cloud thing.
All right, it has
25.
a roll of 17, and it's bewitched.
All right,
the cloud
so
falls under your power.
I'm gonna give it a -1 to AC.
-1 to AC. Okay. Ryan, did we settle that it was a -1 when we put in the final design? I thought it was a -2.
so.
Okay. Alrighty, very good. So -1 to AC, that brings its AC down to 18.
Yeah, I think I was playing with -2 before, but I got -1 out of the book.
Okay. All right, there we go. Its AC has been lowered by 1, which is good for you and Enduriel. Alrighty, and now that was your minor action.
Minor, yeah. And I don't really want to move in close. I'm a little
Well,
close
why not?
to
Whatever for.
Engage, Gizik.
I wanted to just ask, Enduriel just moved adjacent to Gizik. Is Gizik still bloodied?
Yes.
So isn't that a problem?
It's only a problem if he provokes an attack of opportunity.
Oh, okay.
However, which I am mindful of. However, you are correct. Gizik is bloodied, and Enduriel, it starts making you hungry and giggly.
I don't like this. Let's see.
He looks over at you too, Gizik, and he's like, you've seen that look on his face before, and he's like, ogre blood might be tasty.
It's the look.
Enduriel, you know better. You know better. It's
The
disgusting.
look Tom gives Jerry. You know.
Yes.
All right. Enduriel, what's your fortitude?
2,700. 21.
It's 21.
I got +2.
Let's see if I can beat that. Unless you're really willing. Yeah, I tried to move you closer. It's technically an attack, but I tried to move you closer to the enemy to attack it, and I rolled a 1, so
Did you just
I failed.
try to be witch, Enduriel?
Aggressive compulsion.
Oh.
Hmm.
Yeah, bummer. All right.
I can use it against an enemy too, but
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes, you can. No, I think it was a great move. I mean,
How often those two lines blur? Enemy.
yeah. So,
It wouldn't hurt you at all. It would just make you attack the
all
enemy.
right. So our witch attempts to bewitch his companion, who starts looking at him and leering, and he's like, "Ah!"
No.
It's like, get away from me. I don't. It's my blood.
It's like the Hulk throwing Wolverine. That's kind of how it is. He's like,
Yeah.
A fastball special.
Wolverine resisted, unfortunately. So, all right, Gizik, you still have a move action, right?
I do, and I don't think I want to do any. Well, I'm gonna step back one
Good
more
call.
space
Very still.
Where are
away
you
from
going?
Anduriel.
Where are you going? Let's go.
So this is C16.
Alrighty. So Anduriel Gizik backs away from you nervously after attempting to enchant, to charm you briefly, and now,
I tried to make him move before I moved.
yeah.
Actually, a pretty good move, but
Aaron says in chat, I guess Elspeth never taught Gizik to share. How much blood do you need anyway, Gizik? You know what, Aaron, you're right. I mean, he is so selfish with his blood. Okay, moving on. Back to the top. It would be the nightmare creature, and Lachlan, you have made yourself annoying, but you're invisible, right?
Right.
Well,
He can still attack me, and he is marked because he's in my defender aura, so it might be to his benefit to try to do so.
Even at a -5. Okay, Lachlan, you've made yourself annoying. The problem is the radiant damage. It hates radiant damage. So here we go. It is going to attack you with a -5 because you're invisible. What is your AC?
22 right now because I'm divinely protected with shadows.
So 27, which means that's pretty nasty. It needs a 19 to hit you. And that, my friend, is an 11.
oh yeah.
So, unfortunately, it is not able to do that. Now, let's see if it recharges its Maddening Gaze. And it does recharge its Maddening Gaze, which is unfortunate. All right. It is going to use an action point to use its Maddening Gaze on Anduriel. Anduriel, what is your will, my friend?
23.
Okay, that is a 23 exactly. Can you do anything? Or is that 23 with your plus?
That's 23 with my +2.
Is it? It's versus what, Matt? Will?
It's
Will.
versus Will.
Oh, well, I have not used Bastion of Mental Clarity, so I will get all up in Anduriel's mind and give him a +4 to Will.
Okay.
It's actually everybody allies in a burst 5 have a +4 to Will to the end of my next turn.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Okay.
You fancy lad.
All right, Anduriel, inside of this gray, like just barely humanoid-shaped gray cloud, these two glowing red eyes just kind of start pulsing, and then they begin pulsing in your mind, and you start to like panic, and you start to feel just this rage against Morokhan, and then you feel Lachlan's presence in your mind, and it shoves the fear and the panic out of your brain, and then you've returned to your senses. And
now because he made an attack that did not include me, he gets to take a whopping 8 points of what kind of damage? Radiant damage.
Oh, Lachlan, I think somebody just made himself a target.
So, yeah. So I flare with Ruby Light and Rosy Light, and he gets zapped.
And burn, baby, burn, Disco Inferno. Okay, it shrieks again, like, "Ah!" And just this inhuman shriek that's very, very strange. And that is its turn. It's going to stay... it does not like that. It's going to stay right where it is for now. No, it's not. It's going to shift. Lachlan, it moves right above you. It kind of flows its little cloud form into square F13.
Okay.
It doesn't want to be flanked by the two of you. And Lachlan, you've made yourself a target. And that will be its turn. Now it is the Morokhan.
Cool. Well, I'm going to flank him again. So I'm going to move up to F12.
Okay.
And I don't like the fact that he's moving away from me. So I'm doing everything I can to just try to shoo this cloud away. So as I'm running up, it looks like I'm just flailing at a cloud basically, but I'm doing 5 storms. So I'm just
You're attacking the cloud with storms.
yes, I am.
That's backwards.
Stabbed it with a knife.
So it's 18 versus reflex.
That is a hit.
Okay. With 9 points damage.
Okay, so a half of 9 would be 5.
Ugh, you're killing me, Cloud.
Not quite yet, but Lachlan should probably be a little worried once he becomes visible. Okay, alrighty, that's Moroccon's turn. Very good.
That's
And
it.
now Anduriel.
Anduriel is having some anxiety. He's close to Gizik. He smells the blood.
Not as close. I have stepped back away from you.
Half step back, which is a good thing.
But it's Gizik, so the smell radiates.
So, generally,
Magic. Nope.
you just jump in and start trying to attack the cloud as well. But he needs to take a second. So he's gonna go over and retrieve the Leviathan's tooth.
Okay,
So
that's a move and a minor.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm gonna end up on 18 H.
Okay,
He'll kind of shake his head and get a hold of yourself. And that's where I be.
okay. That's a move and a minor. You still have a standard if you want to do anything else.
No.
Take another movement. You could.
Ooh, I could take another movement. Yeah, I'll move up.
Unless you want to like strike a dramatic pose up on the stage.
Hey, guys.
Retrieved my dagger. Like,
I'll go to 14 H. So I can rejoin the fray ish.
okay. 14 H. All right, Anduriel, you hop down off and move into 14 H. Lachlan, it's your turn, my friend. You become visible at the end of this turn.
At the end of my turn, or now when I attack him. So that's a 17 plus 14. And
That'll do.
I should say virtuous strike. I mean, why ruin the thing? I'm going lightsaber on this guy.
Okay.
That is 8 points of radiant damage, and he's just doing lots of fancy flourishes. I mean, he's really quite enjoying this whole thing. It's like I don't even have to aim. I just sit here and swing.
Yeah. So you're swinging your sword. It's kind of lightsaber time with that rose glow as you slash through this thing, and it is now bloodied, which means that it automatically uses its maddening gaze. And guess who it chooses to use it on, Lachlan?
Go ahead. I've still got a +4 to will.
Plus. Oh no, you're right.
Okay. It's going to go after you anyway. So what is your will now?
24.
Right. You're not invisible, though, so it
Nope.
needs a 16. And that's a 5. So unfortunately, those eyes blare up again, Lachlan, but your will is far too strong to be penetrated. So that is very nice. All right, that would be the Lachlan's turn. Now it is Mr. Gizik's turn.
I think I'm going to try the same thing.
On Anduriel?
Yeah.
Okay.
So versus Fortitude again.
What's your fortitude, Anduriel?
21, right?
Aggressive.
Why are you going for Anduriel? Why didn't you go for me?
Because you can't use Radiant Strike as an at-will, can you? Or as a melee attack?
Yeah, virtuous strike is my melee basic attack.
Okay. Well,
It's a good idea. Yeah, I'll do that.
okay.
What's your Fortitude?
Does aggressive compulsion attack fortitude or will?
Fortitude.
Alrighty.
It seems like a will, though, doesn't it?
It does seem like a will. Is that a typo, Ryan?
I don't know.
You want me to change it?
I'm sure you did it.
Will's higher than fortitude, so maybe.
My fortitude is a 16. My will is a 20.
All right, so I need to roll
Not-
at least a 7
Alrighty.
to make Lachlan. I rolled a 14. So
Very good.
Lachlan Have you moved, or are you still in F15?
I'm in F14.
F14. All right. Well, that's good enough. Yeah, just basic attack on the creature
Ready.
with a +4 bonus to damage.
Ooh, love +4s. Oh wait, that's a 27, Matt. So
Yeah, that pretty much hits the universe for now.
so that's 17 radiant damage with Gizik's nice +4. So
Oh, he
that
just
is like, I just cut Darth Maul in half kind of business.
Lachlan, he just loves you.
I may just have to keep using you, Lachlan.
Willed me, baby.
Not a terrible idea. All right, so
I don't know.
He casts aggressive compulsion, and he couldn't get into Anduriel's thick skull, but he finds you very easy to fill with aggression and rage. So Lachlan, you're striking, doing these beautiful flourishes, then he casts a little witch magic on you, and instead of a beautiful flourish, you're like, nah! You just start whacking at it. All grace is lost, and then you realize that he has enchanted you briefly. So, very nice. Alrighty. And that would be back up to the top, unless you'd like to move, Gizik, or use a minor action.
I'm good.
Alrighty. Okay, that would back up the top. This critter, I don't think I need to tell you, Lachlan, that it really feels like you're a priority right now. It wants to kill you a lot. Let's see if it recharges its maddening gaze. And
just FYI, I did double check World of the Witch. It is will, my friend. So luckily you rolled high enough you would have hit my will anyway, but just for future reference, it is a will attack.
Mental note. Okay.
Well, double check everything.
I was not wrong. Okay. Although if there is a misprint somewhere, it is Ryan's fault, just to clarify. Unless he says it's Ben's fault, in which case we'll okay. All right, moving on.
No, it's probably just in the same spell box.
Alrighty, here we go. Lachlan, it is going to use Psychic Siphon on you. It forms two cloudy hands on you, and they reach towards you to try to envelop you. And that is a 17. That's a 25. So I'm pretty sure that hits everything you have.
Unfortunately, yeah.
All right, Lachlan, my friend, you take 12 points of damage, and you are grabbed. And it is going to assume its nightmare form. Lachlan, it turns in to you. But it's a hideous form of you. It has one leg, and it's cut off at the knee, and blood is just kind of dripping off the leg. And it has one arm that's maimed, and its face it looks a little bit like, Sludge from the Goonies. It's like, it's definitely you. And it's just kind of like levitating there, and it wraps one hand around your neck and starts choking you. And it starts screeching in your voice. It's like, this is what you have to look forward to. You'll never sing again. You're hideous. Everyone will shriek as you approach. And it's highly unnerving that a warped form of you is choking you. And it is going to use its second action point on you and use...
By the way, Matt, that bloodied me, just in case that matters.
It does not.
Okay.
At this time, it made its bloodied attack. It's going to use Maddening Gaze on you also.
Matters to somebody.
That, however, is only a 12 versus your will, which I don't think makes a difference, right?
Nope.
So it is slowly draining your life force out of you and doing psychic damage to you. But it kind of blazes, its eyes blaze with this unearthly red light, and they try to penetrate, but your mind's just like a fortress in this encounter, and it does not. So that's both of its action points gone, and it is a grumpy critter. And
so basically, Lachlan is so conceited that he looks at that, he's like, I think I look rather roguish.
Even twisted, I'd probably look better than Gizik.
I'm still a 9.
No. Okay. Anyway, Lachlan, now that it's taken its nightmare form, it will do 1d6 extra damage against you if it hits again. So just be prepared. All right, that is its turn. Morocon, it's your turn.
Alrighty, let's do that. So I see him turn into Quasimodo basically, and
It's pretty ugly.
right. So I'll whisper a little prayer to Hemina, and I'll put my fists together and raise them above my head, and they'll start to glow. And I'll do the Star Trek double-fisted thump on the cloud, on the Quasimodo figure, as I do Brand of the Sun.
Alrighty, whack him.
Which is a... Oh, this guy's got a crazy high AC, doesn't he?
He did. He has an 18 now.
Oh, I'm good. Good thing I'm flanking. Good thing I'm flanking because it's an 18.
Yes, you are. Okay, 18 exactly.
Okay, so yeah, Brand O the Sun.
Okay.
Which is a 6 plus 4 radiant damage. So yeah, 6 damage plus 4 radiant damage.
Okay. So that would be...
Does anyone need to make a saving throw? Because pretty much anyone in this room can do that now.
That's one person. It's an at-will attack, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you can grant one person a saving throw. Does anyone need one for any reason? I don't think so.
I'll throw it to Lachlan since he's grappling with himself.
All right, Lachlan, if you were not quite yet, but you will be taking damage as long as this thing is has a hold of you. So that is Moralcon's turn. Anduriel, it is your turn, my friend. So he comes up and thumps on the back of floating evil Lachlan.
All right, cool.
And pushes him closer into your face, Lachlan. Like, ah!
What are you doing, dragon? Kill it with fire. Kill it with fire.
He did. He radiated.
I can't. I radiated my fist.
Weapon of Divine Protection again.
Okay.
That is a 2.
Swing and a miss. Okay, where do you move to, Anduriel? Because you weren't on...
sorry. I was in 13G. Sorry.
13G. Okay. Flanking with no one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, all right, so swing and a miss. Do you have a minor action you want to use?
I have... No.
All right, Lachlan, it is your turn, my friend. You take 5 points of psychic damage.
Ew.
This thing, the longer it holds on to you, the more horrified you are becoming at the visage of your own distorted body being reflected back at you.
Okay, well, I am... With this thing grabbing his throat, he just slams his sword down and is going to do a staggering note right toward it.
Okay.
What's its will?
Its will is 17.
Well, a dirty 19 will be enough, right?
Yes, it will.
I guess it would be a natural 19. So he's going to take 5 thunder damage.
Okay.
And I'm going to move him into square E11. So he is knocked back by the force, and Morocon. Does Morocon have a melee basic attack?
I do.
Yeah, he can make a melee basic attack as a free action.
Cool.
As he goes slamming up against that wall, he can give him a nice elbow.
That would be a 10.
That is a miss on pretty much everything at every level ever. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's okay because it's not a 2. Okay. For some reason, the 2 is more embarrassing. I don't know why. I think Anduriel stabbed himself. So Lachlan takes his sword. This thing is just draining the life force out of him, and he clangs his sword into the stone floor and then aims it like a tuning fork, and it goes, and this thing just gets shoved back into the corner, but it does not lose its nightmare form. It still looks like distorted, floating, horrid Lachlan. And that is Lachlan's turn. Gizik, it is your turn, my friend.
I think I'm going to use my action point.
You are?
Yeah, but I'm going to use it to use my second wind.
Not a bad idea. All right, so +2 to your defenses. That's a really good idea, considering it's gunning for you. All right. Yeah. That's Lachlan. Gizik, it's your turn, my friend.
So is this thing back in cloud form?
No, it is still in its nightmare form.
Nightmare form. All right. Well, I'm going to attack it with waves of ecstasy. Just make it
doesn't
emanate
sound like a
waves
Gizzard
of
attack.
pleasure. Yeah, no. Well, learn some new tricks.
All right.
If it was
Why
in,
don't you try to
the
cast
dog
it out?
form, I'll be like, "Who's a good boy? Who's a good? You are," and then it would just be so happy it would die.
Okay,
Let's see.
so for Lachlan, waves of ecstasy, if you hit, it's probably going to be like the Pantene hair commercials. Where
Yeah.
Oh, yes! Just
It just
something like that.
cannot accept how incredibly happy it is. All right,
Okay.
so this is versus Will.
All right. Its will is 17.
12. So which means
That you
the
missed.
special only happens if you hit, right?
The special what?
So if I do an attack and it has a hit and a miss and special only goes with a hit, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless otherwise it wouldn't be a special, it would be an effect. So I don't think the power says effect, although you can have Ryan look that up really quickly. What does miss do?
Miss is half damage and knocked prone.
All right, so let's
Nope.
figure out the damage.
Remember, Jeff, you have inspiration. You could roll a die 6 and try and turn that into a hit.
He would need to roll at least a 5 on that
Yeah.
one at 6, but then
Which
he would
we all
hit.
know is probably not in the cards. But
Hey, JT did it last time we played. It's up to you though, Jeff, whether or not you want to use that.
Yeah, I got it too. All right, so that's a miss, which would be
Okay.
so that's 8 damage and knocked prone.
Okay. Jeffrey, did you end up using your witch feature to add the 1d4 last
I
time?
believe I did. Yes.
Yeah, just checking. All right. Very good. All right. So you did how much damage?
It was 16, so half that is 8.
8 what? Psychic?
Yes.
Okay,
8 psychic
unfortunately,
damage. So basically
spell-
no damage.
does not seem to have any effect whatsoever. So Gizik starts chanting and lifts his hands, I imagine, and casting, and he's like, I'll just make you happy. And nothing really.
I wasn't really doing it for the damage, but
Yeah.
if it could have been knocked prone, can't stand up, also dazed, that would have been really nice.
Unfortunately, waves of ecstasy does not take effect. Now, that would be the creature's turn. Lachlan, it's really irritated, and it is going to provoke an attack of opportunity from Morocon as it tries to get you. Morocon, my friend, it is a new round, which means that you can do it. It moves into square 14. Well, if it's going to provoke it, it'll move into square 15F. So it just kind of floats around, but Morocon, it floats past you. So go ahead and make a melee basic.
Oh yeah.
that's going to go past me, too, though.
Well, actually, it's not floating right now. It's walking.
That's 21.
That is a hit, my friend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Lachlan, you are correct. So we'll have it. It doesn't want to provoke that. It will move into square 14E, right in front of the pew.
And that's 10 damage.
Okay, so half of 10. Well, no, it's not insubstantial. It takes the whole amount. Bummer for it. All right, so floating evil Lachlan goes by Morocon, and you smack into it. You hear bones cracking, and it's dripping blood, and part of it looks like fog is like dripping out of the wound. It's clearly having a hard time holding its corporeal form together.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't look like it can take too much more abuse, but it's still got some fight in it. All right, Lachlan, it's going to use Psychic Siphon on you. First, let's see if it recharges its Maddening Gaze, and it does not. All righty. Lachlan, what is your reflex?
Reflex?
Yeah, it's a reflex attack.
Oh, right now it's 20.
Okay, so it needs a 12, and that is a 14 plus 8. So unfortunately, that's a hit. And you take an extra 1d6 because it's in your nightmare form. Oh, 15 plus 8 is 23 points of psychic damage, or no, regular damage, and you are grabbed, Lachlan.
Good night.
Jeez.
So once again, this thing grabs onto you, Lachlan, and starts choking you. and begins draining the energy out of you, and it hisses into your ear like, "This will be you after you die. This is your damnation." And it just keeps choking you, and you're like, "Ah," like a little ragdoll. Poor little 17-year-old Lachlan, little ragdoll, getting choked by his own dark future.
He's 19.
19, I'm sorry. Well, you've lost 2 years because this thing is younger you, so it's
Poor
not
little
quite
12-year-old Lachlan.
yeah. It's not quite out of puberty, Lachlan. All right, that is Moralcon's turn. All right, Moralcon, now you get an actual turn.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to shuffle on down to E14.
Okay.
Get into his range there. And
I think he's in E14.
Yeah, he's in E14. Sorry about that.
is he? Oh, I thought he was in.
He was
Okay.
going to, but then he would have provoked an attack of opportunity from Captain Radiance, and he's not willing to do that.
Okay, well, he's about to get some more radiant damage anyway. So I'm gonna basically I'll leap up. My fists are still glowing from before, so I'm just gonna basically leap up and just do a downward punch with Brand of the Sun again.
Get him.
Which is he is bloodied, yes.
He is bloodied.
Awesome.
And then some.
Oh, geez, that's not going to matter. Okay, so that's a 26 versus AC,
All right, that's a hit.
which is finally a good attack roll. Okay, so 4 radiant damage for Sir, and that is 11 total damage.
Okay. So 4 more is 15.
Yeah.
Alrighty. All right, Moralcon, you leap up with your glowing fist, come down and slam into the back of floating deformed Lachlan, and the shriek that comes out of its mouth kind of starts as Lachlan and then winds up becoming that of that bestial shrieking that doesn't even sound human. And so it whacks him and it's like, "Ah, ah!" And then its form gets a little cloudy, more cloud kind of drips out of it, and it's clearly can take a few more hits, but not that many. That would be Moralcon's turn. And Uriel.
Okay. I'm going to move. Where'd you end up, Moricon? 13E?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to move to F14 or F13.
Okay.
And I'm going to attack with Inspire Fanaticism.
Yeah.
Against AC.
Its AC is 18, thanks to Gizik.
So that's a 16 on the die, so that's going to hit
Right.
2 weapon damage plus a bonus plus 2. Oh, that wasn't very high. 6, 12, 13, 14 points of damage.
Okay.
And then one of the effects is that one of my allies will take half damage till end, and I believe Lachlan will be the ally that is chosen to take half damage.
Good choice.
So anyway, what happens is Anduriel's kind of he sees all this go down. Lachlan, like real Lachlan, is starting to look like awful Lachlan, pretty beat up. And, out of the way, Lachlan! And so he runs over, and he gets this kind of muted silver sheen in his eyes, and they kind of cloud over with this, and he's talking to the cloud. He's I understand that you're a nightmare monster. I too am a nightmare. Look into my eyes. And he sort of inspires, it's called Inspire Fanaticism, and he just takes out his kukri and starts going to town. All the while maintaining this like eye contact with whatever that is,
Okay.
being the nightmare.
That's creepy.
Right. It's pretty creepy indeed. All right. So, Enduriel, you come in and you start cutting it and slashing it, and you kind of catch the first little whiffs of fear off of this thing, which is disturbing for this creature, but it's not able to hold on to its corporeal form. Every time Enduriel slashes, blood comes out, but instead of blood, at some point, the blood just kind of becomes fog, and it's clearly releasing more fog than it has, and it's not able to hold it in, and its form is kind of halfway fog, halfway solid at this point. Looks like a true monstrosity. Lachlan, it barely looks like you. It's struggling to hold the nightmare form of you. And that was Anduriel's turn. Lachlan, it's your turn.
All right.
It looks at you with hate in your face.
You look at you with hate in your eyes.
I hate myself too.
Yes. It's self-loathing of the
Whoa.
worst kind.
We're hitting some metaphors. We're hitting some.
It's so deep.
I look at it and start to just sing my heart out.
Okay.
Oh, look at it. Oh, look.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a
let's
nice
back
song.
it up. Oh,
The
we want
only,
to see the backup too.
I wanna
but
hear it.
disappointing. There's no damage.
No.
I backed it up with an 11, but
But it means nothing because this isn't a damage attack.
yeah, not unless I can dominate to die. But
Well, I don't know. I killed Anduriel by shouting once.
True story.
he looks right at it and starts to just sing, just a melody, not a song with any kind of words, just sort of a one of
Oh
those.
wow. Okay.
And
Okay.
That was
as an effect, it makes a basic attack against itself.
Its basic attack is pretty decent. All right. Unfortunately, it only rolled a 2, which is not enough to hit even its 18. So, Lachlan, you start singing, and it's like, It makes Lachlan noises, and it makes unearthly shrieks. And then it starts, like, whacking itself, but its hand turns to mist as it strikes itself, and it just doesn't seem to do much damage. Like, it can't conceive of how to attack with a corporeal form against itself. It just, unfortunately, is not successful.
So it is dominated though. So on its turn,
Can attack anybody you want.
yeah, I'm gonna attack Gizik. But
Okay.
and then with my move action, I want to try to escape this thing. So
Oh, good move. Yeah.
what's
Right.
its fortitude?
Its fortitude is 17. How are you going to escape?
Athletics.
Okay, you need to make an opposed athletics check then.
No, it's just me versus fortitude.
It would normally be that.
Oh. Opposed athletics. I rolled a 14 plus 10, 24.
Okay, you are escaped, my friend.
Okay, then
No longer has you.
Huzzah.
I will shift into square G15.
All right. G15. You do. Well,
So-
why don't you want to be adjacent to it, Lachlan?
Well, I kind of do, because then if it doesn't go for me, but I'm thinking at least if it goes for me, it's going to maybe provoke an attack of opportunity. Maybe.
It might.
So,
But it only has to shift to get to you,
I
unfortunately.
know. Yeah.
So that would be an error. All right, Gizik, it's your turn, my friend. Unleash your horrible Gizikness upon it.
Yeah, I'm gonna move in closer to it and attack with Hag's Hunger.
Yeah.
It's kind of like stalking close, kind of drooling and just
All
ready
right.
to claw that thing up.
Are you going over the pew or adjacent to Anduriel? I know which one I would do, but you make your own choice.
I'm gonna ready an action. Gonna shift if he comes next to me.
I will try to go over the pew.
All right, so you're fine to climb up over the pew. It's right next to you. It's only one square. You can shift into 15D. All right, Gizik looks at Anduriel, takes one look at him, and climbs over the pew.
All right, so then Hag's Hunger. So I believe I still have Fist of Stone active.
Yes,
Same
you do.
combat. So let's see, it's plus 11,
Get him.
which makes it a 19 and a 14
Can you use
versus
your
AC. Can I use what?
Oh, you already used the Bardic Inspiration. I forgot. Can you use your Witch? Oh, no, you already used
I
that.
already,
Never mind.
I've used everything. So
I really want you to hit twice, buddy. I do. Some DMs are like that. I want to.
19 and a 14.
Right, but you still hit once.
Okay. So then for the one I hit, that is 18 damage.
Okay. Oh, it is really not happy about that.
And
Oh,
that's
wait. All right, so Gizik, you come up and take one claw, you swing, and it ducks, Your other claw comes around like this and slashes right across its back. And instead of internal organs, smoke kind of billows out in your face that you have to wave away. But now you can see it can't take too many more hits, and it can't hold its form together. It's oozing gray mist, and there's only like little pieces of solid, ghostly floating Lachlan. And now it is its turn again. Lachlan, it wants to kill you because it really feels like this is the end. It shifts over into square 14F. And it's going to attack you with its maddening gaze. What is your will, Lachlan?
20.
All right, that is a 6 plus 8 is only a 14. That is a miss, which is good because that bad boy is 3d6 plus 12. So, all right, Lachlan, it comes over and reaches for you, and it stares at you, and its eyes blaze, and you feel that presence in your mind again trying to drive you mad, but you are easily again able to shut it out, and that is its turn, unfortunately.
If I'm in F13, is F14 a square that I threaten? How does that work? Sorry.
Yes, you do, but it shifted 1, so it didn't have to move to, and that's what provokes. If you move out of a square that someone threatens or through it, that provokes an attack unless you shift.
Got it. Okay.
A shift is
so
safe.
I don't get one either then.
Nope. A shift is always a safe movement unless something has an ability that says creatures can't shift away safely. And some creatures do have that ability. So all the enemies I make. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. And that is now Moralcon's turn.
Alrighty. Well, he's getting kind of frustrated whiffing at a cloud, so just die already. Fist still glowing. He does a Brand of the Sun again, so that is a...
That a hit?
Oh, Matt, I'm so sorry. He was dominated. He does not come next to me on his turn.
Oh, you're right. What do you want him to do?
He stays right where he is and bashes himself in the head.
Well, not with a 6, he doesn't.
No.
So,
but he tries.
Yeah.
He tries.
It looks more like you doing your hair because he's like, it's just too disoriented. Okay, it doesn't change anything, Moralcon. What'd you roll to attack?
It was a, what was it? Oh, it was an 18.
Total?
Yeah, total 18 to attack.
Okay, that's exactly what you needed.
Oh gosh, okay. So I'm glad because I forgot what his AC was. Which is 4 radiant damage plus 11.
Okay. All right. This thing is
15 total.
This thing is looking pretty awful. It looks like one more hit. It's like you slam down into it, and Moralcon, the light from your fists kind of like pierces through it like shafts of sunlight out the other end, and it's like, and part of its arm floats off, part of its face, like half of its Lachlan face, kind of dissolves into fog. Looks like one good hit, and it's going down. Anduriel, it's your turn.
Enough of this.
Hit it.
We're going to go with Weapon of Divine Protection. That is a 22. Oh, 21, because I'm using the kukri. See here. One weapon, 1 die 6. So that is 9. 14 points of damage.
Okay. With the Leviathan's Tooth or your kukri?
Just the kukri. Leviathan's Tooth has been expended.
All right. So, well, I mean, it's still a higher attack weapon than your kukri is. So it's a wiser, but it only does 1 die 4. So.
But the kukri look cool.
Okay, so never mind. Curve blade. All right. Anduriel, Moralcon slams this thing halfway into the ground. Sunlight is piercing through it, and you come right behind and follow up, slash right through its neck, and its head dissolves, and you swing down with your kukri and pierce it right through the heart and just start ripping, and it tries to pull its body into a corporeal form, loses the corporeal form completely, and then it can't even hold together the cloud form, and it just dissipates into nothing. right in front of you. And soon there's no evidence whatsoever that it ever existed. There's no mess. There's nothing on the floor. There's no trace whatsoever that it was ever here.
Can I use my minor action to do a perception check?
Yes, you can. What do
I
you
want to see if I can sense or see where that little pixie is.
Okay, go for it.
That is a 11.
You have absolutely no idea where the pixie is, but with an 11, you smell burned pixie in the air.
Okay.
So you become aware that there's burned pixie from, was it Morocon who set it on fire, I believe?
I did.
Yeah, Morocon set it on fire and sent it running. And so, and he also whacked the dream thing pretty hard. So he's had a really good showing tonight. And he saved Gizik's life. Good Moro, yay! MVP! So,
FYI, I have not taken a single point of damage.
Oh.
Well, then heal me, sucker.
Okay. Alrighty.
The wrong encounter not to take damage in.
Okay, Anduriel, you smell burned pixie and you try to kind of follow it out the door, but it's gone. Wherever it was, wherever the satyr went, wherever it went in that pixie form that it took, it has turned invisible and clearly it has fled the scene.
So Morocon doesn't know that Anduriel is doing this, but he's going to grab his arm and try to drag him out the door and just say, "Let's go pixie hunting," as I try to drag him out of the assembly hall, into the entryway.
Take it easy, dragon. That's what I'm doing. He's not here anymore.
Okay.
Although I do love your tenacity. Very good.
Okay. Shortly thereafter, Lachlan, a bunch of the ministers come running, and they're dressed halfway for battle. They come running down the hall. They're all wearing night clothes. None of them are fully dressed in battle armor, but they're carrying a variety of weapons. Most of them are carrying, a traditional cleric's weapon, which is a morning star or a mace. So most of them are carrying that. They come running down the hall, and they all have like sunken in eyes. None of them look rested. They look horrified. And then Deacon Durkin comes running down the hall with a candle, and he's wearing a full-length nightgown and a nightcap. And he comes running, and he trips and spills some of the candle wax on Minister Crownguard. He goes, ah! Spills it on him and burns. It's like, oh, I'm terribly sorry. It's like, buffoon. Watch what you're doing. And he wipes the hot candle wax off of him, and they kind of just all come running down there. And then one of the ministers that you have gotten to know, whose name, if you give me 2 seconds here, I'm in the wrong folder. Where am I in the wrong folder? Looking up the document that has the details. Oh, here we go. Divine Fellowship. Sorry, looking up the ministers. One of the ministers that you've gotten to know, if I can get this document to go down, her name is Sarah Huxham, and she's about a 26-year-old Adari human female who seems like she is allergic to absolutely everything. She has a persistent nasal issue. She comes running down the hallway with her mace, and she's the first one to speak after the candle wax burning. She goes, "Did we miss a battle?" And then looks up, and they're all just kind of waiting for you to say something.
Boy, did you ever.
Okay, who's hurt right now?
I am.
Me too.
Just
Okay.
a little bit.
I'll walk over and heal up. I'll do a healing word on Gizik to try to get him to max.
Okay, Regatta Greycloak, one of the ministers who is 85-year-old high elven female. She's kind of a fatalist. She dresses in black a lot. She's wearing a black nightgown, and she's also very, very nervous. She was one of the few people who survived the destruction of the city of Valoria, where the old Divine Fellowship used to be housed. And she's been terribly nervous ever since then. She comes over and lays her hands on you, Lachlan, and she says, "Outer gods, hear my prayer. Let divine healing flow through me, even though I'm fairly sure we're all going to die." And she grants you a healing word also. So between all of the ministers there, everybody gets healed up to full quite easily. And they're all kind of waiting for an explanation and just kind of staring at you.
Do we have to use some surges for that healing?
Yes, you do. But you get a surge +5.
Ooh.
So I turn to them and say, we've had another attack, and this time by some kind of nightmare creature.
Okay,
And
Sarah Huxham looks at you and goes, "Another one?"
What do you mean another one? Do you need a tissue?
She's blowing her. She has a handkerchief.
there was also a fey creature here, a satyr. Likely another minion of the Piper. In any case, it looks like we're going to need to have some carpentry done on the wall over there. Some monstrous creature went bashing through the wall.
Okay, so they all kind of peek around to see what happened, and they kind of have a horrified look on their face, and Jervis Irwood, who is a 36-year-old Adari human male, he came to the Fellowship through penance, basically. He's actually a former criminal who committed a crime so badly that he either chose life in prison or service to the church for life. And because we have a very good relationship for the moment with the Night Lord permitted him to take service with the Divine Fellowship instead of the Church of Bestera. It's not technically legal, but we got him, and he's like, "Well, I don't see any dead bodies. Did you guys stash the body already?" And then they all look at Anduriel.
No, the bodies were not stashed. The dragon beat one into cloud form. We won't be recovering that. The nightmare creature was in cloud form. The other was turned tail and ran in the form of a pixie. So no, there's no bodies, but there was an attack. There was a battle.
Okay.
Although if you have any bloodhounds that can sniff out flame, you might be able to find that satyr pretty quick. Let me know if you do.
Okay, so Deacon Durkin turns to you, Lachlan, and he says, "Sir, would you like to order the ministers to search the building? It was
Yes.
prudent."
And we need to make an accounting of everybody who was here, because if others were affected by... Do they look injured? Do some of them look injured?
They don't look injured, but they all look worn and tired. Their eyes are sunken in. They look like they went to sleep and then went without sleep for a week. You would assume, based on their look, that they've had some kind of unpleasant experience, but you don't know for sure until you ask.
Well, our nightmares were harmful. I just want to make sure that nobody's like comatose in their bedroom. So
All of the there are only 13 ministers, and they're all present and accounted for if you take a quick head count. The chaplains don't live at the estate. There's not room for them. But one of the chaplains, Sarah Huxham, wanders over and looks at the thing and goes, she goes, "Ooh." She goes, "Ziffer Coinbloom is not going to be happy about that. He's one of your chaplains. You don't know him very well. He's a gnome, but he's the only one of your chaplains that has experience as an architect." So she's like, "I'm not telling him." Okay, and then Minister Crownguard looks at her and he says, "We will do as the voice instructs, my lord."
So where is this gnome?
He lives in the Winter Run. He has his own home. He has a home. presumably.
We'll take care of this tomorrow. Now that the creatures have been dispatched, let's set a watch and see if we can get some actual restful sleep.
Okay, Minister Crownguard, he says, that's an excellent idea, sir, your worship. It's exactly what Lady Voice Jasmine would have done. A watch is most prudent. I'm assuming you'd like me to organize it.
Absolutely.
Anduriel's actually going to pipe in. I shall lead the watch this evening.
Okay, they all look at Anduriel. They all look at you, Lachlan. They all look at Anduriel, and then they all look at Minister Crownguard.
Does Anduriel require sleep?
He's a vampire. He has to sleep.
Well,
But he's certainly not used to sleeping during the day or during the night.
But we have our goth lady who's an elf.
Yeah. Yes. Regatta Greycloak. She and her brother both came. They're both Valorian refugees. She is the one in the black nightgown, and she's just fretting up a storm. She's probably not going to sleep tonight.
So I think because elves can trance, that's what I'll say. Say Anduriel and Regatta, the two of you can take the first watch. After that,
okay, you say that, and she looks at Anduriel and goes, "Oh." All right, and her brother, Leliard Greycloak, who's a 72-year-old high elf male, extremely intelligent. He pushes his glasses up the bridge of his nose and he goes, "Your worship, perhaps I might join my sister on watch for the evening. The more, the merrier."
Sounds good to me. And minister, and I turn back to the minister who was wanting to take charge, Crown Guard.
Yes.
And I say, I think it would be better if you were well rested in case of a daytime attack.
Okay. He looks at you and he says, of course, your worship, whatever you think is wise. I suppose having Anduriel watch in the evening is a great idea.
If you'd like to volunteer, I'm happy to have you join me. And Anduriel just gives him a smile.
Okay.
Morocon looks at the elves and is just basically like, you have far less things to worry about than this run this evening.
All right, you say that, and Regatta goes, of course you do. We're all going to be dead by morning, most likely. Oh my gosh. And her brother just looks at her and goes, shh, none of that. Anyway, she goes, I need a pinch of snuff. And she kind of heads back to her room and says, I'm going to get my armor on and lots of potions. And so her brother kind of accompanies her down the hall. And Minister Crownguard says, and the rest of us should go back to bed. We're no good unless we're rested, as Counselor Anduriel points out.
Yes. Go back to bed. You'll be safe from the bad dreams there.
I'll lean over to Anduriel. I'll talk to him for a sec. Just so...
Hold on. Everybody, Gizik says that, and everybody looks at Lachlan like horrified. Like, okay. And then the criminal that we have, Jervis Irwood, he looks up and he's like, we can't go back to sleep? Is it not safe? Do we need to get the hell out of here?
Lachlan says, I think he's Jess, but frankly, I'm going back to sleep. So take your pick. If you're too anxious to sleep, then enjoy being tired tomorrow, but I'm off to bed.
Okay. I just kind of cackle/chuckle and walk back through the hole in the wall towards the beds.
Okay. They all look like they are slightly comforted by the fact that Lachlan is going back to bed, but a bunch of them are looking at Gizik and they're like, I think I'm going to go get a snack. So a few of them head off to the kitchen, a few of them head off to bed. The elven brother and sister, they head off to go get their armor on and whatnot. And Minister Crownguard nods at you and just shepherds people down the hall. And Deacon Durkin looks at you and he goes, if that will be all, sir, is there anything else you require of me?
Nope.
He's like, I'll be going back to bed then. Good evening, your worship. And Deacon Durkin yawns, and then he heads back to his room, or whatever room.
Sweet dreams.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And as the Hallowed Council mocks the pain of their fellow ministers, they all...
I can't help it.
Yeah. They all head back to bed.
So Moroccan will lean over to Anduriel and just say quietly, do you still require rest? I'm pretty well rested this evening. I can stay up and take this first watch if you would like to get some rest.
I appreciate the gesture, Moroccan. However, I'm rested enough, and I feel the desire to search the shadows this evening. Who better to do so than I?
As you wish. Don't hesitate to call if you need any light.
Okay. Alrighty, so you have your own personal Dragonborn nightlight. Beautiful. Okay. Alrighty. And he can glow, just to point out. So, moving on. Although that glow is not necessarily healthy for you, Anduriel, so never mind. Moving on. All right, so it is a relatively uneventful night. The ministers kind of search. The estate is large, but it's not enormous. So they do a quick search of the room. You smell burned pixie down the hall. So they know that it came down the hall, past the kitchen and the assembly hall, somewhere, past the library, but the smell kind of left. Could have gone out a window. Could have gone out the front door. He could have teleported, but that's where the smell ends, is just past the dining hall.
I'd like to make a perception check. I really want this guy.
Okay, go ahead. Make a perception check. See if you
I'm really bad at it, but I want this guy badly. And that is not a good roll. I think I smell burning food in the kitchen.
Okay. All right, so you head into the kitchen, and Regatta Greycloak is having a pinch of snuff and making a cup of tea, and she's clank, 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 shaking in her hand. Her brother's like, I'll just make the tea. That's fine. And you hear, you leave the door, Moroccan, and you hear, we're doomed! We're all gonna burn in the fires, just like...
Did that all night. What an exhausting creature.
Okay, so... Moving on. It is a relatively uneventful night. You sleep the rest of your sleep. Lachlan, how late is everyone going to sleep? Just out of curiosity, what time will you wake up?
Well,
It's up to you.
he is still just quite a teenager. I mean,
I'm going to have to wake him up.
Teenagers on average need at least 10 hours of sleep.
Need, but that doesn't mean they ever get it.
True.
yeah. No, he probably will have to be helped to wake up, whether it's
Okay.
the smell of bacon or
Another
or
nightmare.
a gentle nudge. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Anduriel, I don't know what time Anduriel goes off the first watch, but I'm assuming he will want to get his full rest so he gets his encounters and dailies and whatnot back. So at some point during the shift, you go back to bed, and then Minister Crown Guard comes up for the next watch. He organizes who's going to get up. He's quite happy to have that responsibility. And then Lachlan, you are awakened probably at about 9:30, somewhere around there. And Deacon Durkin is waking you up, and he's shaking you awake, and he's going, Your Worship, Your Worship, Your Worship, Your Worship. And if you come awake, he looks at you and says, Your Worship, we have a situation. I think there... oh, dear. There's... in the front, white magic. And then...
Are we under attack?
No. Oh, no, not yet. Woo! He is
Okay.
so flustered. He's so flustered right now. He's just babbling incoherently. He says something about magic and something about white and something about people fight Minister Crown Guard. It's getting ugly, and he starts hopping out into the hallway.
All right. Well, let's go check it out.
Okay. So the rest of you, your bedrooms are all the way around the corner. Or actually, well, you're not around the corner. You're just one room down, right? So the rest of you easily, if you are there, can hear Deacon Durkin just fretting in the hallway over whatever's going on.
Particularly the door that I've ripped off the hinges. So
yes. So you're more than welcome. You're awakened by his fretting. He's pretty loud, and whatnot. So you want to follow Lachlan out as well, or you just going to roll back over?
Oh, for the love of Shadow, it's been 2 minutes.
Okay, cranky.
2 minutes without a crisis.
Cranky vampire. Okay, so as you walk down the hall, Lachlan, you hear a fairly calm but firm voice say, "I am a white witch. I have taken the vow of non-violence. I bear no weapons. I assure you that I wish only to speak with the voice of the divine fellowship." And then Minister Crownguard's voice, loud and strident, interrupts quite before she finished and says, "Sounds to me like you've taken a vow of idiocy. You aren't welcome here, heretic. I can see right through you, witch. And if you think we're letting you anywhere near the voice, you've been leaning too far over your own cauldron."
Yeah, they don't let witches in here.
And then, Lachlan, you hear a, oh dear. I think what Minister Crownguard is trying to say is that, well, your affiliation makes it difficult to receive your invitation sincerely.
Can I cast Healing Word on her, please?
You don't have the remove affliction ritual. This is either an illness or an allergy. And then she says, "Well, perhaps we could relay a message for you," and then blows her nose again.
I will shout, "That won't be necessary. I'm up.
Okay. All right. So both of the ministers look at you and they bow briefly and say, "Your worship." And then Minister Crownguard says, "I apologize that you were disturbed, your worship. Clearly this is not worth your time or effort. I'll be happy to escort the lady out."
Oh no, by all means, let's see who it is and hear what she has to say.
Okay. He looks at you and he says, "Your worship, this is the first ambassador of the faith of man."
He says, "Well, if she causes trouble, you have my permission to bash her brains in, but let's hear what she has to say first."
Okay, you do that, and Sarah Huxham looks at you and takes her handkerchief and it's like, "Oh." Like,
that's how we do diplomacy here.
And she looks at Lachlan. Minister Crownguard folds his arms and kind of rests them like down here, like this, but his hand is on his mace, and he just is glaring at her. And she looks at you, Lachlan, and she nods and she bows her head. She says, "Your worship, I thank you for receiving me. I understand that I come under a cloud of bad tidings, per se. I greet you on behalf of the faith of man, as well as offer the most profound of apologies possible for our organization's actions in Winter Run. As first ambassador of the faith of man to the Adari Republic, let me assure you that the actions of Clary Waterford were an isolated incident that do not reflect our beliefs. We are healers, not terrorists. The faith of man values independence and unity is not achieved through subterfuge, lies, and bloodshed. You have my most sincere apologies."
Okay.
She waits for you. Okay. She pauses for a minute, just because she seems like she might not want to be rude. And then she says, "To that end, I've come to offer you both reparations and also assistance moving forward in your mission. I bring with me a purse of 10,000 gold, 1,000 platinum in reparations." And she says, "And I humbly offer my services to your hallowed council as both liaison and partner. I am both a skilled diplomat and a practicing witch. I understand that you have a witch on your hallowed council, and I offer to battle at your side as we work to excise the devilish forces that have besieged this land."
Well, you know that being a member of, being associated with our fellowship means that you put the fellowship ahead of your other affiliations, meaning that if push comes to shove and we have to, root out the faith of man out of some other place, that you'd be standing there alongside us against them.
Okay. She looks at you and she says, I see your perspective. I do not share it completely. Allow me to explain. Might we sit? And she kind of just gestures over to you're right there in the lounge and antechamber. So she just gestures. She says, might we sit and converse briefly?
And so he kind of nods and then says to Minister Crownguard, he says, would you invite Gizik to join us?
Okay. So the rest of you followed, yes? Or did you stay back in your bedrooms? Anduriel was cranky vampire, but...
I stayed in my bedroom. He can contact me through the mental link if he needs anything.
I followed, but as we're passing by the kitchen, I smelled breakfast and walked in there instead of joining them.
All right. So Minister Crownguard goes tromping down the hall, and he's not muttering, but Morocon, if you're in the kitchen, he passes the kitchen and he goes, Counselor Morocon, I believe the voice is meeting with a member of the faith of man. I don't know if you want to be part of it, but it seems like the Hallowed Council would be useful to the voice right now. If you'd like to join him, I'm going to speak to Gizik. And then he tromps down the hall.
Who is it that's here? As I've got like some bacon like dangling from my mouth.
He just keeps walking. Okay. He keeps walking, moving down the hall. So he goes down the hall, and Gizik, Minister Crownguard, comes into the room, and he says, Counselor Gizik, are you awake?
What?
Okay. He says, the Lord Voice has requested your presence in the antechamber. There's a member of the faith of man here, and she's trying to wheedle her way in.
They'll try anything. All right, fine, I'll go.
He's requested your presence, sir.
I said I'll go. Let's go.
Okay.
I get up out of bed and I
right.
walk in towards the...
Anduriel, he leans into the other room and he knocks on your door. He says, Counselor Anduriel.
What
bang,
is
bang,
it?
Bang. He's
What
like,
is it?
I believe the Lord Voice requires your urgent attention. He's in the antechamber with a member of the faith of man.
You believe or you know?
I met her. I tried to get rid of her, but he insists on talking to her. Maybe you can talk some sense into him.
Oh, I'm on my way.
Okay. So Gizik, you head walking down, and Minister Crownguard just tromps right back with you, and he kind of badmouths her the whole way. He's like, you can tell she's up to no good. She's come with money, like anybody's gonna. And he just and I think she double parked, and just all this, all this tirade. Calls her a heretic. Says she's probably here for some unholy pagan sacrifice. Then he looks at you and remembers where you learned your magic. And okay,
where is Minister Crownguard? What does he worship?
He is a minister. The ministers worship the gods collectively.
Okay.
So,
he
worships all the gods.
They don't ever favor maybe
They do, but you haven't really gotten to know them very well.
Okay.
I mean, they've only been here for they've only been here for a few weeks, so surely they must all favor Naylock. No. Although you can certainly do something about that if you want to. It's up to you. Sometimes,
proselyting.
at least in Lady Jasmine's journal in the Book of Balance, she mentioned that several of the ministers had their eye on a seat on the Hallowed Council, which would require them taking affiliation with the church. But Minister Crownguard hasn't said a word about that yet. So, anyway, so you were back there, Lachlan, and while they're all getting roused, and she says, let me explain. You see, I am of the opinion that our two organizations need not be in competition with one another merely because our beliefs are in conflict. It is not the belief of the faith of man that the radical actions of Clary Waterford are the way to achieve independence from the gods. We believe that it will be a slow process by which all of the mortal races come to realize that they do not need dependence on divine entities. But we believe that that will come with the evolution of humanity as a whole. We don't believe that it can be forced. Clary Waterford, she was an extremist, and she clearly didn't embrace the entire doctrine of the faith of man. And so she says, I don't believe we would ever come into conflict again. I'm the first ambassador to the Adari Republic for the faith of man. They all answer to me. And therefore, if we found any of them in violation, I might request that the other faith of man take up arms against them if they're committing such heinous crimes.
Well, Mrs. Waterford wasn't alone.
She says, no, Mrs. Waterford was the ambassador to Winter Run. And she says, I sent her here as first ambassador. I had no idea such darkness lurked in her heart. Perhaps if I explain a little bit about who she was and where she came from. You see, she was the wife of Isaac Waterford. He was a farmer. He became sick and he died. And she lost her farmlands to a greedy neighbor through some unfortunate agreement that she couldn't get out of.
I might need to interrupt you there. I have no pity or compassion for her background, her upbringing, or anything else. She was a murderer, a liar, and was not afraid to to insist on using devils to possess the Night Lord's wife and even the Night Lord's young daughter. She was an abomination, and as far as I'm concerned, she was worse than the devil she summoned because she pretended to be something other than used her feigned goodness. Our first encounter with her was a ruse to take out a whole squad of Just Blades and pretend to save the day from her allies, the Red Caps. So
okay, the rest of you walk in just as Lachlan kind of finishes laying the case for Mrs. Waterford's actions. So the rest of you walk in, and she stands up as you enter, and she bows briefly, and she looks back to you, Lachlan, and she nods, and she says, I have only been able to gather some information, but I am not ignorant entirely of the horrors that she committed while she was here. I am ashamed that she did so in the name of our organization. Our fellowship, for we are a fellowship, is about love and peace and dependence and healing. And she says, we are healers. And it sounds to me like there was naught but darkness in her heart. And I bear responsibility. She says, I hope that we might be forgiven. I am the one who sent her here, and I must accept responsibility for that, because I did not know such darkness lurked in her heart.
Well, it wasn't just her. Like I said, all of your, everyone associated with the faith of man was involved in deception, murder. They were all part of it. So one bad seed might be able to be forgiven, but every member of the faith of man we've met turned out to be evil. So you can understand the reluctance of anybody here, and why well, you might be met with quite a negative response.
Morocon is the last person to enter the antechamber. His mouth is like full of food, and he starts handing out biscuits to everybody from the kitchen.
Okay. Morocon, she smiles at you kindly and accepts the biscuit, and she actually takes a bite out of it and chews for a minute, and she says, thank you.
What do you think, Gizik? He says she's a white witch.
Well, I have no problem with that. And who knows, maybe the faith of man is strange here, but as far as I can tell, they've done nothing other than follow the High One.
Okay.
So what do you
Go ahead.
what do you know of the High One?
She says, the faith of man has no affiliation with any planar power. Indeed, that is one of our doctrines. She says, I don't know all that Clary Waterford was doing here, but I will be continuing to investigate. And she says, in the interim, I understand that our property here has been ceded over to the Divine Fellowship. And she says, I would be within my legal rights to protest that. I will do no such thing. I will gladly sacrifice this property and pay you the 10,000 gold in reparations that I promised. And she says, furthermore, I would be pleased to assist you. I cannot make excuses for the horrors that were committed here. I can only accept my part and responsibility in them. I am so sorry that you suffered at the hands of those who claimed to believe as we do.
Well,
What form does your assistance take?
And she says, well, as I said, we're healers, not terrorists, bards. And she gestures to Gizik, and she gestures to you and says bards, and then to Gizik and says witches, white witches. And then she says, and druids even. I understand there's a druid on the Hallowed Council. We also have druids among our numbers. And she says, most of the white witches of the faith of man have taken the vow of nonviolence. And she says, I have done so, but I'm a skilled healer. And were I to accompany you, I would not take part in battle, but I would heal you and protect you with my magic. And she says, I'm prepared to instruct officers and other ministers of the faith of man to do so.
How much does Moricon know about the White Witch Covens?
Or not ministers, excuse me, the chairman. That's what she says. That she would be happy to bring some of the chairmen here to assist us in healing, in whatever efforts that the Divine Fellowship is carrying out. I have to repair the faith of man's reputation here. And in order to do so, we must prove that we believe what we say we believe, and that we will lead by example and not by coercion. Now, I'm sorry, what did Morocon say?
How much would Morocon know about the White Witches and their coven?
You can make. Do you have are you trained in Knowledge Arcana?
Arcana? No.
Okay, you could make an Arcana check or a History check, or
History.
a religion check. But
Okay,
Arcana would be the highest one.
Okay, I'll do a religion because that's my higher skill.
Okay, your DC is going to be a little bit higher. So roll and tell me what you get, and I'll tell you how much you know.
Okay, that is. Oh, I rolled well. That's a 25.
Okay, so here's what you know with a 25 in religion. You know that white witches, they have an allegiance supposedly to the mother goddess, who was a primordial or a titan of some kind. Not a god, even though she was called the mother goddess. She was some kind of primordial entity that supposedly brought witchcraft to the multiverse. And white witches still follow her teachings, and many of them take a vow of nonviolence, and they refuse to use their magic to do anything other than heal, bless, or benefit. Whereas Gizik can bewitch people, a white witch can confer a blessing of protection on them instead. So their ability, but that's what you know. Gizik, you can make a Knowledge Arcana check and know quite a bit more depending on what you roll, if you want.
Sure.
Go for it.
So that is 22.
Okay, so with a 22 in Arcana, and also being the fact that you are a witch, Gizik, you know that White Witch is just a coven tradition, that it is as old as witchcraft itself. You know that there have always been white witches, that white witches came before hags, actually. Hag is just a different tradition of witchcraft. And so you are aware that it's just a tradition. Not all white witches take the vow of nonviolence, but many of them do. She could be telling the truth. She could be lying. Just because she's a white witch doesn't even mean her alignment is good.
Yeah.
So necessarily. It's just a magical tradition.
I want to
And of course,
telepathically.
you know everything that Ben knows, also, or that Moralcon knows.
Okay.
I want to telepathically say to Anduriel, say, I don't know what to do with this one. The merciless part of me wants to strike her down where she stands for even affiliating with it, but I'm barely holding it together here. I'm not sure what to do. This is not a good one for me.
This is yes, this is difficult. The things that they did to this town, to these people, is unforgivable, really. We cannot afford to let them come in here under the guise of helping and helping, and then have them do the same thing before as they did, same thing now as they did before. What I would suggest, let her assist us. Let her prove herself. She can say all the things that she wants. Lady Waffle Fries said the same. Let her prove herself to us, but keep her close. But we can't let the rest of the faith of man in until she has proven herself for them. That would be my suggestion. All of us in this group, all of us in this council, have at one point or another been run out of a town, been harassed, been harangued because of who we are or mistakes we've made in the past. Maybe we can help, maybe we can accept her, but we cannot accept the faith of man into the city until we know for sure they won't be a harm to this people.
Lachlan, you've never been run out of any town, I'm assuming.
Well, unless I slept with the wrong, guy's daughter. But,
Never mind.
How old are you?
You remember the tavern?
Okay. So maybe
no,
your mother, Lachlan, has had to make some dowry payments and smooth over
No, the
Lachlans running around all over the world.
no, he's not that promiscuous.
Okay.
No, what I say back to Anduriel. Should we leave her here under the watch of the ministers and the chaplains? I don't know that I would trust her if we were in a pinch, in a battle, and we're not staying here. We're headed to deal with the Knights of the Order of Saint Bethania. We taking her along?
You're
If
headed
there's a
to
minister
Horta.
that you,
Yeah.
if there's a minister that we trust, I don't trust her around some of the more ambitious of the ministers. But if there's a minister that we trust, perhaps that kind lady at the tavern, she seemed a good sort.
Okay.
At any rate, I don't know that we can turn this gift of the property or the money, or even the opportunity to but to show the people that the council is forgiving, the council is willing to accept people. We just need to make sure that the town and the people are safe.
Is she carrying any weapons? Is she packing heat?
Nope. She carries not a single weapon that
Her
you
weapon is her
believe.
tongue.
So,
I look at her and say, "Have you met with the Night Lord?"
and she says, I have only just arrived a little over 2 days ago. I've been gathering information. I have not approached the Night Lord yet. To be honest with you, I was hoping that you might approach the Night Lord on my behalf. I don't know what the situation is. I would not want to cause him further pain, and I certainly want to keep my own life. I don't know what the situation, but I have to tell you, my first priority is getting back to Horta. It's one of the reasons why I came here. There is trouble in the capital that the faith of man is not prepared to engage on its own. I was hoping that you would assist. If I may explain. Okay.
Oh, you must.
Okay. So she looks at you for a minute and she kind of thinks. And she says, something is wrong in the capital city of Horta. There are strange goings on, and the feeling of the city, the aura of the city has changed. For instance, some of the knighted families have begun holding secret meetings. They are seen leaving at all hours of the night from different areas of the city. She says that by itself wouldn't be unusual, except that the situation with the temple of Bestera has become somewhat strained. The clerics have become difficult, even combative. They are challenging the faith of their believers, and a number of the clerics have fallen ill. There's something going on there. Obviously, I would not expect to be received particularly well by the church. We never have been in the Republic. It's one of the reasons why we felt the need to be here. Of course, we want a presence in every nation that we can, but it was perceived that we would be needed here the most. That being said, there's been a shift. It's difficult to explain. Horta has always been a city of watchful defense. And recently, it seems almost as if they're preparing for war of some kind. Why, last week there was a public execution. One of the Night Lords was accused of consorting with devils. It was his wife. The Night Lord, I believe, was exonerated, but Fantine Murray was executed. She was hung. I don't believe that is in keeping with the Adari law. I don't know that anything has come of it yet. I don't even know if the High Lady Protector is aware of it in the city of Lair. But there was some issue with... He was a knight of the Order of St. Marcus. It does not seem to me that an affiliation with devils would come easily. I suppose what I'm saying is I don't trust the allegation. But there are strange goings on in Horta, and I feel that the faith of man's efforts are best spent there. If there's a problem, I mean to be a part of the solution. I was hoping that you might come with me.
Can I insight check her?
Absolutely.
I'm really
That's a good idea.
But I need to know.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not horrible, but 16.
Okay.
Mine's a 24.
All right. She seems to be completely earnest. She seems as though she is being not only honest with you, but that she is very concerned about what's going on in Horta. In fact, if anything, what you pick up on is that she hasn't shared all of her fears with you.
I was already, starting to trust her.
Well, I'm gonna try to. So this is gonna come out weird, but he's going to try to communicate through the mind link, but ends up saying out loud that well, she is a white witch. I feel she's trustworthy. But
All right, Gizik laughs out loud. Okay.
Trustworthy? What is it with this group of people? Oh, here comes a dragon. Let's bring him in. I can trust him. We cannot trust anybody, dragon. I'm sorry, witch. I am sorry. We don't know you. The atrocities that the faith of man has visited on this people, you yourself have admitted, have been horrific. So I will not be trusting you. This council will trust. Maybe these two will. But your words, I hear echoes of Lady Waterford through your words that you're speaking right now. She was very concerned about the people. She was very concerned about the well-being of this people. Her actions spoke differently. We've not seen your actions other than to come in this room and sit and say words.
Okay. She looks at you, Anduriel, and she nods, and she purses her lips for a minute, and she says, I understand, and to be honest with you, it's what I expected. I did not expect that those of faith would trust those who are opposed to the very idea of it.
It's not even that.
But she says, but nevertheless, that does not change where my efforts will be spent. If we cannot work together, then I will leave our monetary gift here with you to help repair whatever damage may have been done or to assist the Divine Fellowship moving forward. You may keep the gift with our goodwill. I am going to Horta. If you would prefer that I not accompany you and that we not work together, know this. if you change your mind and you need the help of the faith of man while you in Horta, you may call upon us and we will answer.
We are headed to Horta with for a different end in mind, but if you've already gathered some information there and it could be helpful to us, then we will make use of that.
Okay.
At this point, we don't know if our goals are aligned, but we can see that our goals are not unaligned, and so know that we will that trust is going to take some time, and that although I can't forbid you from having a presence here in Winterrun, given the frazzled state of the Night Lord right now, with having lost his wife and concern over his daughter, I don't think it wise for you to approach him, because as you said, you do value your life, and if you think your reception here is icy, I think it would be very possible he would arrest you on the spot. I wouldn't have any of your, would not count on having a presence in Winterrun for quite some time.
She nods. She says, I thank you for your counsel. I suppose it would be wiser for me then to contact the Night Lord through correspondence. I'll send a letter. I'll send several letters and more reparations if necessary. She says, in the meantime, I will gather those of the chairmen who are left in the city, and I will head back to Horta as soon as I am able to do so. I should be arriving, well, she says it's several days' journey. I should be arriving within a week. I may be able to use magic to speed our journey. I don't know. She says, I will gather the chairmen and I will leave Winterrun and I will be at your disposal in Horta within a week.
I'm going to say to everybody, our party, mentally, what do you think? Do we travel with her?
I have made a career recently of traveling amongst people I don't trust. So, and it's turned out all right. I am of a firm mind that we should be with her, so we can earn that trust. It can't happen if we're never around her.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the faith of man has done nothing so far but lie to us and make it seem like they have the best of intentions. Yet somehow I feel like perhaps that may have just been the faith of man here. You know, with the High One influencing them here, maybe he's causing similar problems among the religious where we're going.
All of this, by the way, is only said to Lachlan. He does not have the ability to link your minds. He can only communicate with you one-on-one. So whatever you're saying is only being heard by Lachlan.
Right.
One other thing to consider, Lachlan. What better place for her to be than in the company of us? If she proves us right and is untrustworthy and is indeed the head of the Faith of Men, this terrorist organization, what better place to be than amongst us, who are more than happy to rip her head off and drink her blood?
I'll leave the blood drinking to you, but and then
while you guys are talking in your minds to each other, she stands up and says, "Well, I suppose I'd better be on my way. Please accept."
One moment, if you will. Because our destination is the same, perhaps we should travel together. Would you be amenable to that?
She cocks an eyebrow and says, "Of course. I would need a little bit of time to gather the chairman, to make some arrangements to wrap up a few affairs here, but I'll encourage all of them to be gone as soon as possible. Of course, there will need to be a reassignments, but that can all be done in Horta. If you give me just a couple of hours, I would be most pleased to take journey with you." And she says, "And I look forward to the chance to prove my worth to you and the worth of our faith as a whole."
I'll say to Lachlan in the mind link that the faith of man, I feel we're in unison in saying that we do not trust the faith of man as far as we can throw them. But
Which in your case is probably fairly far.
true.
Okay.
That's why we're able to trust them.
But for them to have a white witch at their head, from what I've learned of them, white witches are they are not a foe of ours. I feel it is either quite wise or quite deceptive of them to have a white witch at their head. I would.
Okay, you are talking to Lachlan in his mind. All of this?
Yes.
All right. Minister Crown Guard, while you're talking, he puts his arm around Anduriel when Anduriel was talking about, I don't trust you, go to hell, basically. And then he was about to say, yeah, and then Anduriel's like, why don't you travel? And then he's like, yeah. Like, he's like, you're going to let her travel with the Hallowed Council, this faithless harpy? Okay.
Let you stay here.
All right. And you say that, and Deacon Durkin goes.
He said. So I turn to her and say, "Let's plan on if you would join us for our evening meal, and we will depart together after that. We have to make ready some business first as well."
She nods. She says, "You wish to travel by night, then?"
Evening's always a good time to start. I suppose we could do a midday lunch and then head out.
Okay.
We have little to fear in the night with two of the people that accompany us.
All right.
It's easier to avoid the guards that way too.
All right. She smiles at you, Gizik, and she looks at Moralcon and she says, "The moon watches over us in the night. It is true." And she says, "Very well. Then I shall return here in this evening, which will give me plenty of time to arrange affairs, and perhaps I'll have some magic to speed our journey to Horta."
Sounds good. Sindel, bless you.
And you.
May
Okay.
God take you.
All right.
So, Moricon, at the end of this conversation, she gets up and leaves, right?
Yeah, and you get a good look at her as she gets up and walks away.
Does she leave the money?
She does. She leaves. She left
Okay.
the chest right there on the table in the antechamber. It's just a small, but it's a fairly ornate chest, and it is filled with 10,000 gold pieces in platinum. So that's 1,000 platinum. Quite the sum. And you get a good look at her as she walks away. She is clearly. Let me just double check here. But yeah, she's clearly human. She wears a very simple white dress of expensive material. It might be silk of some kind. And Lachlan, you could make an insight check or a knowledge history check and probably know where the silk came from. But she wears a simple dress of white silk. She is barefoot, but she has some golden bracer, like kind of something golden circlet around both of her ankles, and she has just some very light beaded adornment around her wrists. She's beautiful. She has long, lustrous black hair and pale white skin. And her dress is fairly simple. She's fairly young. She looks like she might be in her mid-30s, but she's absolutely beautiful, and she carries this aura around her of peace and contentment. It's difficult not to feel at ease and protected as she stands near you. But she gets up and she bows to you and she says, "I look forward to the opportunity to work together and to prove to you what we're really about." And then she nods and she makes her exit. And Minister Crown Guard starts blustering, and he looks at Anduriel and he says, "You can't be serious. She'll knife you in the back. She'll slit your throat in your sleep." And Deacon Durkin runs over to the chest and goes, "Oh my. Oh."
Okay. I go and put both hands around the minister, Crown Guard, and I say, "Friends close, enemies closer. I don't trust these people at all. Anybody who doesn't who doesn't have any faith in the gods is never going to be on the inside with us. Fear not.
Okay.
And then I go over and I say I need to send someone on an errand.
To who do you say this to?
Anybody who will who can I trust to hold on to some money to send on an errand?
All right. Deacon Durkin turns to you and he says, we could send several of the ministers. They're all armed and they're all capable clerics, if you like, sir.
We need a bag of holding, and I think Lysinopril can help us with that. We just need to provide the funds. So I know it's not going to cost all of this. It shouldn't be that expensive, but we need a bag of holding before we head out this afternoon.
Deacon Durkin, he says, oh, very good, sir. Lysinopril could certainly help. I might be able to make something for you. If that's what I just need to buy some of materials with the gold.
Now. we can save the buying materials for me.
Okay. Would you prefer that I construct the bag of holding, sir?
If you can do it, he says, as long as it gets done. But we need to take the standing maps with us, and they're way too cumbersome to just carry on Gizik's back.
I would like all of you to please make a knowledge history check.
22.
24.
Okay.
11.
3.
What's that, Anduriel?
23. I'm trained.
Okay, so those of you who rolled over 20, here's the thing. Deacon Durkin comes highly recommended. He is quite skilled at ritual magic that involves scribing things, so written documents. He knows a number of rituals. He can copy a document for you. He can teleport. He can summon a chat. I mean, he knows quite a bit. But here's the deal: he is also somewhat of a failed wizard, which is one of the reasons why he's here. Deacon Durkin's wizardry is flawed, shall we say?
All right, so
if you have him make your bag of holding, he could probably make it for you cheaper than Lysinopril will, because Lysinopril will charge you. But
it might have a hole in it.
Well, or you might reach in for your whatever you put in there and pull out a puppy or something. I mean, it's
a puppy. That's fabulous.
Or you'll reach in and pull out a stump. Where'd my arm go?
Yeah, so it's entirely up to you. He's very organized and he's very professional, but he's also in some areas of magic incompetent. So,
we don't want Dinky Jerky to build our bag.
It's up to you.
Okay. Well,
I'll do it quite a bit cheaper.
I will just tell him no. Let's have Lysinopril make the bag, and let's have you start figuring out how we can help use some of the money to help the families of those who lost loved ones here because of the faith of man. I think it will buy us some goodwill if we do that.
All right. He says, well, of course, sir, if that's what you think to do, it's your decision.
So I pictured this interaction as so Gizik rolls an 11. He's like, ooh, that sounds great. And the three of us are like, no.
If we save money, I get more.
Okay. So he tells you that he'll go ahead and take care of the arrangements. And then before it's all finished, he says, now, a couple of other matters, sir, before you leave. What would you like the ministers doing in your absence, sir? We could, for instance, have them performing acts of service within Winter Run, charitable. We could focus on recruitment. We certainly haven't brought all of the old coalition members from across the Eastlands. We could be assisting the best Terrans or working on bringing in more revenue, which, of course, we could use. 10,000 is good. 20,000 goes farther.
I look around. Thoughts?
You're on your own, voice. I don't care about any of this.
Yeah, let's just go to Horda. They have
Well,
ministers here.
Leave the administration to the administrators. Let's go.
In that case, I think we gotta build a reputation. So yes, I mean there should be enough people here that some should be focused on charity, some could focus on recruitment. Every idea you mentioned sounds good. Just organize it and make it happen.
He says, well, all I can do is if you. He looks a little flustered. He's like, I can certainly assign them to their tasks, sir, but which one of them is most important to you? I mean, 2 tasks, I think, would probably be more. That there are only 13 ministers and 5 chaplains. What 2 things should we focus on most?
Help the people.
Yes, we need to serve the we need to show people that we're not a threat to their faith. So
Minister Crownguard puts his arm around Deacon Durkin and he says, "Don't worry, Your Worship. I'll be happy to help him organize everything. We'll take care of it. Don't give it another thought."
I may suggest giving some resources to the chapel to help the church to help bolster and build the faith.
Well, it's been a month, and there's a new Hope Master in the church, but there's a lot of charitable services that have not been reestablished. So
Right.
money could certainly go.
I would suggest going through the church.
Okay, he says, "Very good, sir."
It would build more hope through the population.
He says, "How much of the funds would you like to divert towards charitable work, sir?"
500.
Stingy, aren't we? Very well. Okay. All right.
Well, that's a lot.
500 for a farming community should go pretty far. Hey, what? I want to
Winter
ask
Run
you.
is not a farming community. Winter Run is a trade hub.
Yeah. What is the what is it involved in recruitment?
He says, "Well, sir, we would need to send a number of letters. Perhaps through the Wayfarers Guild, Magical would speed it in order to bring back as many of the coalition clerics as we can locate. There may even be members of the previous Hallowed Council that we can find, although I don't believe any of them survived. I don't know. We won't know until we put our resources towards bringing recruitment in."
Boom. 1, 2. Good.
Okay. All right.
I want to say to our party though, again telepathically, I think we need to give Crown Guard a mission, because if he stays here, it's going to turn into this battle of wills between him and Durkin. And although Deacon Durkin is a dork, he's gonna be a lot more organized. Than we'll come back and they'll have Crown Guard will have wasted all the money and probably made a fool of the whole organization here in the town.
Might I suggest sending Counselor Crownberger to find the missing or old members of the council? That will be his quest.
Okay, I'm good with that. Minister Crownguard, I have
Your Worship.
an important job for you that I think your skills would be better used away from here. Deacon Durkin can take care of the organizational piece, but I'd like you to think.
Siberia could really use your help.
He does seem
Ambassador
very
Yashir?
self-interested.
Okay.
Says I think we need to take a more aggressive stance on trying to find these other members. Letters are only going to make it so far. How would you feel about making an expedition towards Valoria and see if you can find any evidence of other coalition members?
And Duriel is really going to quickly outwardly say, "Oh, come on! You can't trust this to him. This is something important. It's something only one of the best can do."
And Duriel, make a bluff check, please.
Oh, that's an 18 plus. That is a 21.
Okay, so Anduriel, he looks at you and his eyes narrow, and he says, "Please don't mistake me for a fool." And he's obviously not buying it. He looks to Lachlan and he says, "Your worship, I think that would be a very dangerous expedition, but I would be happy to undertake it. Truth be told, I don't think there's much more valuable activity we could be doing than trying to bring together as much of the old coalition as possible. Surely there are other ministers out there. Lady Jasmine, other members of the council, they're missing. I might be able to find something, but I would need to take at least 4 of the other ministers with me."
It says, take 3 of the ministers and petition the Night Lord to see if a couple of just blades would accompany you. If they will, they will. If they won't, they won't. And perhaps you don't need to go as far as Valoria. But we need to do. So you're not the kind of person who's going to be as useful writing letters and working on recruitment here. I need you out doing action.
He looks at you and he says, "That makes sense."
And I'm not bluffing. I really don't think that he's someone who needs a job.
Yeah. He says, "That makes sense. I am a man of action. And I do think that's the wisest place to use our resources." "Very well, sir. I will choose 3 of the ministers and we'll set off immediately."
I say, and Durkin, they're going to need some money for some mounts. So give them a 400 gold pieces to buy mounts and have spending money to make their way, because it's going to be an expensive expedition.
How are we going to pay for a bag if we give them 400 and the poor 500? And
a bag's only 1,000 gold, isn't it?
That would be the market price. Not that you know that per se, but
no.
But he says, "Very, very good, sir." He says, "I think that 400 will supply us well, and I promise that we will come back with as many survivors of the coalition as we can possibly find to join the fellowship." And he nods to you, and then he takes off immediately. And Deacon Durkin says, "Wisely handled, sir. I'll make sure that to compile a list of locations where he might search far and wide." And okay, and
quick question.
Sarah Huxham blows her nose and she follows Minister Crownguard out the door. And she's like, "Crownguard, take me with you. I want to go. I can be helpful." Okay.
As long as there's no subtlety needed.
And that is where we will conclude for the evening. Although you can ask any questions you would like.
So, quick question: the deity shrine in the headquarters, is that just basically a room that holds a shrine for every deity?
It's a multi-deity worship chapel. Yeah. All of those little boxes that you see are religious icons dedicated to all of the Fallowed Council's faith.
Okay. Morokhan's going to go into the deity shrine and ask and supplicate Hamina for a prayer of guidance.
Okay. And maybe we'll start with that in our next episode.
Yep, that's fine.
Let's see if she answers.
Right.
Okay. And since I'm all the gods, we'll see. Okay. And I believe Jeffrey has our consider this for the evening.
Yeah, so I ran across this thought. It says, what you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. I think a lot of the time we have these big things that we want to work on and do, but actually getting to the end is not nearly as important for us as what we go through and how we grow as we get to that end. If you go to college and you get a degree but you didn't learn anything, it's not worth it. Or, any of the million other things you do in life. So,
Cool.
consider that.
Agreed. It applies to college. I mean, learning, life in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's the process that makes you who you are, right? So I like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time people see the goal of where they want to be, but they don't really want to go through what it takes to get there.
I don't sometimes.
Right, and if it's not worth it to you to go through that, you don't really want to get to that goal anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think there's a ton of stuff like that. I think good health is important. I think it's something I'm constantly working on, but how far I want to take that, how much time, there's a limit to how much I'm willing to take away from my children to devote to that, because I could spend hours in the gym. No, I couldn't. I have spent hours in the gym before, but there's only so much dad time to go around. So it's one of those things where you devote as much as you can and kind of look at where you're going and say, I may not be able to get where I want to right now, but what I'm choosing is better. So I love that thought. I think it's a great idea. Anything else?
Bouncing off of the school thing, I think there's a shockingly high percentage of people that go to school for something, and what their actual career is not what they actually went to school for. And I don't think that's something that necessarily is something to be seen as discouraging, because a lot of people find who they are while they're in school, and their goals change, just like people change, just like the weather changes. Like things are meant to change in life, and so it's better to just accept that.
Cool.
But I think the value is not just in saying, "Hey, I accept this." I accept this because I learned how to learn. Like Jeff was talking about, the process is important.
Yeah.
But what you get from going through the process, when I did my MBA, I couldn't tell you some of the things I actually learned in class, but I do know that I learned how to learn, and I learned how to communicate better, and that's the real value, I think, in anything. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Consider that. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Good night.